What's up, everyone? My name is Leo Mesquita, and I am your host for the Risk with Confidence podcast. My journey has been full of crucial decisions, from moving from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, to Tampa, Florida, at an early age, ditching a high-paying and stable job at a Fortune 500 company, and starting my own restaurant. I always aim to live a life with no regrets. On this podcast, I will interview ambitious people with ambitious dreams, and also keep you up to date on some of my experiences with my current business. Hope you enjoyed this podcast and are motivated to leap onto your next journey. Have faith and take the risk with confidence. What's going on, everyone? This is my very first podcast, and I thought I would create a little intro for those of you who don't know me. My name is Leo Mesquita, and I'm a co-owner of a restaurant in Plant City, Florida. I'm a husband to the greatest wife and dad to the most handsome dog in the world. I mean it. But a summary about my life is that it's been full of critical decisions, which have led me to hate feeling stagnant. I'm constantly thinking about growth in business and finances and how to develop skills I currently lack. One of the biggest life-changing moments came from the time I stepped into my first corporate job. I had no idea how much that experience would affect my life and how I think about things. But before I begin, let me backtrack my story. I grew up in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and lived a very modest life in comparison to other cultures. As an example, having a bottle of Coke with pizza on a Friday night was an exciting time, and usually meant my mom had one less bill to pay for that week. Things in Brazil are extremely expensive, Coke being one of them. I wasn't poor or rich, but I knew how to appreciate the little things. Growing up, I always looked at my future and what having a successful career and family would be like. Because of this mentality, I made a very hard decision to move to the United States when I was 15 to live with my dad. My main focus was to learn the language, attend high school, and make it to university. If I had to describe that life transition, this podcast could take hours. So maybe I'll save it for another time. But I gotta say that I'm very thankful to my family for making all of this possible. I truly believe that I'm one of the luckiest people in this world. With all of that said, I was after what a successful life seemed to be like, and for the longest time, that meant working for a big company and making lots of money. Well, I was on the right track. While my graduation date was coming up at the University of Central Florida, I began to apply for different companies and landed a great job at an incredible Fortune 500 company. I thought to myself, that's it, I'm on the right track. I was renting an apartment 10 minutes from the beach, being a dad to the greatest dog in the world, on track to settling in with my wife, who was at the time my soon-to-become fiancé, while living the typical 8-to-5 lifestyle. Now that we are all caught up, let me get back to my biggest life-changing moment. My first day at work, I was introduced to the entire department, and over half of them were triple my age at the same position I was hired for. It was a weird feeling knowing I just took on a job they've been doing for over 15 to 20 years. In addition, staring at a computer screen when I was busy wasn't so bad. But staring at a computer screen because I had to act busy was deadly. It was then that I started to realize that my definition of a successful career was all wrong. Instead of thinking about the best job, I started thinking about the best life, and then the best job. And these thoughts kept building up with each book and podcast I listened to. Don't get me wrong, it was a great job. I met great mentors and leaders and was able to save up a good amount of money, of which I spent proposing to my then girlfriend a few years later. Thank you, Scotty. But the truth of the matter is that I'm super thankful for that experience. Not only taught me a great amount about business, it also gave me the ability to look at life completely differently. A few years later into my corporate job, and after many entrepreneurship books and podcasts and talking to friends, the time finally came. My father-in-law wanted to invest in reopening a historic restaurant in a small town in Plant City, located just outside of Tampa. And while I had never worked in a restaurant, much less owned a business before, it took one day to say yes to that opportunity. It would have taken seconds, but I had to convince my then fiancé that we both should leave our high-paying jobs and apartment 5 minutes from the beach to go open a restaurant an hour and a half from the beach. Since that day, I have no regrets. I knew it was the perfect time to take the risk, and I was very confident it could make it work. Now it has been almost 2 years as a business owner, and while I've had some stressful moments, I couldn't be more thankful. The restaurant has been doing better than projected. We are soon hopefully expanding, and I hope to, talk to you guys a little bit more about that in a later podcast. And I was recently named Entrepreneur of the Year in my small town, which is awesome. I mean, I've been doing this for 2 years, and to be able to have such a nomination. It's pretty cool, and it definitely does boost my confidence. So I, very, very thankful for that opportunity. But while I have this momentum going, I wanted to start something new. Remember, I hate feeling stagnant, so here I am attempting to build a brand that is meant to dive in through these common life-changing fears that I'm sure all of us have to face. And I hope to provide proof from people who are currently executing on their dreams. So a lot of this podcast is going to be based on other people's lives and how they've conquered their fears and challenged themselves to live a more proactive life and live a life with no regrets, essentially. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Tune in for more, and feel free to reach out to me on social media or via email. My Instagram is Leo_RWC, and website as well is riskwithconfidence.com. Thank you all for listening, and I'll see you soon.